Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's video where we're going to carry on talking about the great spiritual divinity, the Pyramid of Giza. So thanking the Lord through our Savior Jesus Christ, let us begin. So let's start off with a recap. What did we see in last week's video? In last week's video, we left off with almost a cliffhanger saying that about the main entrance of the Pyramid of Giza we saw, which was said to be 50 feet high from the bottom of the pyramid. So again, a very unusual thing for a landscape and a great wonder. And this entrance leads to the bottom of the pyramid as well. So it is an entrance that leads 50 feet downwards, we have to see, the pyramid. And this is called, as we said last week, the descending passage, which is very unusual, like I said, for any entrance going straight down to below the ground level, as we mentioned, is known as a pit. So, as we already saw, the uniqueness of the building and construction throughout many videos, and this represents Isaiah's 19th chapter 19th verse as a memorial stone for God, and it reflects God's plan. We see that the way the structure is built, the way it represents, and it signifies how it is the memorial stone and reflects God's plan. So it overall shows all of these divinities because of how blessed this structure almost is. So, if we have to go more deeper into the understanding of this Pyramid of Giza, though, we can see elder brethren have done deeper research about the pyramid, and by the grace of Almighty, they understood the whole Bible truth has been designed in a way inside the pyramid of connecting with the complete Bible. So it almost tells the whole story of the Bible itself in this pyramid, and we have been able to understand this based on the design of the pyramid, So we can see from Genesis book, we know the Creator created Adam, of course, and Eve as a perfect creature in a very high standard, and gave the free will and gave the blessing to be fruitful, multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, he said. So God gave them this power and understanding that what they must do, we see. Though they are created in God's image and as his unique creations, our great-grandparents chose the free will to be disobedient, we see, and enter into God's justice plan, to the consequence of sin in death, we see. If they would have delivered, the free will to show their love to God, they would have attained the everlasting life which God set the high standard for them to show, because he gave the free will to provide them that blessing of the fruitful nature, that they may multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. But because they use that free will to disobey God and enter into God's justice characteristic, to choose the consequence of sin of death, we see they missed the opportunity to have the everlasting life if they had delivered according to God's command. So we see this step, what our great parents and how it leads to them to destruction, was shown here by the descending passage, we see, because we can read, it is said in Romans 5th chapter 12th verse, the death entered into the world by one man's sin, and this destruction from the way he created, he lost and fell into the pit, we see, shows the entrance above 50 feet high, leading into the pit of the pyramid. So I think we can understand what this is trying to say, and the symbolism between the descending passage and the situation that Adam and Eve had befallen the human race, we can see. And Romans 5th chapter 12th verse, it clearly says what has happened. Because of one man's sin, they have created a pathway of destruction, which they have caused themselves to fall into the pit, which has an entrance of 50 feet high, you see. So 50 feet high, and has a pit, we see, as a pit at the bottom of a pyramid. So, and more than this, we have so much description talking about the Pyramid of Giza itself, and description to the symbolism of life right now, almost, we can say. So we'll discuss more into detail about the symbolism in next week's video, but now we have understood how it is going to relate, because it is based on Adam and Eve's situation and what they had created because of the disobedience and sin they had created, because they chose the wrong free will that God had given them, and chose to abuse that free will. So that is all for this week's video, and I'll see you next week. Bye.